We have Reverend Al Sharpton, of course, the host of Politics Nation here on MSNBC. Thank you so much, Reverend Sharpton, for joining us as we're getting word of this very sad news. You knew Whitney Houston. What are you thinking right now?
I mean, I am absolutely in shock. I'm in Los Angeles. I come out yesterday to do Bill Maher show and do Politics Nation from here. And at the hotel that I'm at, many of the people are here for the Grammys. And people are just walking around in shock. I knew Whitney probably the last 20 years, and many of us had seen her go through her ups and downs, but no one had her voice and no one had her range. And I know her mother, Sissy, very well, trying to reach her. She comes out of a gospel family, gospel singing family, and she took that to a whole nother level with her and Aunt Dion. This is a shock that I really can't even describe. 48 years old, a beautiful voice, faced the trials and tribulations that many artists did. But obviously, if she has passed at this age, it's something that will stun the music world. And I can tell you many of them are here in Los Angeles gathered the Grammys, and this will be a very, very sad weekend in all of the world, both the music world and those that love the music world.
Reverend Sharpton, can you tell us how she's been doing in the last couple of years?
I mean, I've seen her at some events about a year ago, and she was fighting back. She seemed to be grasping, wanting to come back and do things. She talked about doing different projects, and everyone was rooting for her. Her mother had, solicited everybody's prayers. I did not know intimately what she was doing. I would just see her, and she seemed to be on the rebound, and that is why this is so shocking. And I'm almost at a loss for words, because this was something that no one that I knew saw coming.
Did you know Bobby Brown, or did you know her well when she was married to Bobby Brown?
I knew Bobby from when he was in New Edition. I knew him a long time, and I knew him even when they were together and they had their ups and downs. But I knew both Whitney and Bobby before they were married, and I, would encounter them while they were married. But I knew Bobby when he was a youngster in New Edition.
Well, you had these two superstars with extraordinary talents getting together and getting married and having a child together. What do you think happened professionally to her that she really never had that kind of success that she enjoyed in the late 80s and early 90s, and yet she had one of the most amazing voices that ever graced the planet?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of industry politics. There's a lot of things that go on in people's lives. I guess it would be over the next few days sorted out. And I really, at this moment, would only say that we should all pray for her daughter and her family, and let her sort out what happened to her career and how she left as the days go on. But right now, I think that all I could say is that we lift her and her family in prayer.
What is the significance of Whitney Houston culturally? Because she was so huge for this African-American woman who really crossed all barriers.
I think that Whitney Houston crossed barriers. She was the one that took the diva status of Diana Ross to the next level. There was nowhere she couldn't perform, nowhere she couldn't outperform. She comes out of a gospel tradition, but she took that and Diana Ross's breakthroughs to another level. And I think that she will always be remembered as one that raised the bar in terms of where black female artists went.
Do you remember the first time you heard her sing, Reverend Sharpton?
I remember, we were all arguing in the 80s about black promoters and wanting the concerts. And I went to see Whitney and talk to her about that. And I watched her show, and I couldn't believe the range. She would hit notes that wasn't on the board, it looked like to me. I couldn't believe the range and the gracefulness. She could reach them, no straining. She could just open her mouth and sing. And, some people struggle to get up. She would with almost no effort, seem to reach levels that no artist in her time could do. And I think that when all the other stuff is sought out and when we go through all the weeds, she'll be remembered for having a voice that only God could have given her, and she used it to break down barriers.
She sure did. What did you think about her career when she started acting? Did you encourage her to go in that direction?
Well, I didn't encourage her, but I watched it again. I saw her make a transition and did well. I mean, she did The Bodyguard and others. She performed well on the screen. A lot of people can't make the transition. Mm-hmm. And the thing that Whitney had was not only a great voice, she had an appearance and a demeanor that translated well. So she was one of the few that became a star both on screen and on record and in live performance.
And seeing her in real life, I imagine she was incredibly beautiful.
No, you could see her. She was one of the few female artists that didn't need makeup to be beautiful.
I can imagine. And what was your favorite Whitney Houston song, Reverend Sharpton?
I mean, I loved a lot of what Whitney did, but you know, one of the things, and the last time I saw her, I told her this, that she made a song not that long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, about it was a semi-spiritual song, and I loved that song, and I teased her about it, called "I Look to You."
Yes. And
it was almost like a testimony coming back, and where she sung that song with great passion. I look to you, and I loved a lot of the songs out of the 80s, but I'll remember Whitney's song, I Look to You.
Beautiful song. And Reverend Sharpton, before we let you go, I just got to ask, because you've known her for 20 years, what kind of woman was Whitney Houston in her mid-40s and in the last couple of years? What kind of woman had she become?
I think that she, in her early years, was talented and determined. I think that through later trials and tribulations and ups and downs, she had rediscovered and sought that determination. And, you know, real great people are not those that live just lives that are straight lines. Real champions are people that can get up after they were knocked down. And I think that she had the ability, and she was getting up. She had gotten up, knocked back down, gotten up. And I think that people should remember her great voice and her resilience. All of us face challenges in life. It's how we handle them that I think will tell our story.
There will never be another Whitney Houston, that is for sure. Reverend Al Sharpton, host of Politics Nation, right here on MSNBC out in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining us and talking to us about your friend Whitney Houston.